Twins bust out the brooms and sweep the White Sox 3-0. We're breaking it all down next on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Theo Tollefson. He's on X, at Theodore Tollef1, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. And Theo, before we jump into all the action from today's game, quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, this is all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, game 3 today. Twins took care of business. They busted out the brooms. They got the sweep on these lowly White Sox. Here's your scores all weekend: 10-2, 6-2, 13-7. Those were your finals. So the A topic here, it's got to be the 29 runs scored, 9.3 runs per game on average. Where the heck did that come from? Love to see them bust out the brooms anytime you can, obviously with the 3-game sweep, but you love to see the bats finally come alive just as much too, don't you? 4.5 games back from Cleveland now, by the way. Give us your biggest takeaways, kind of your A topics, and then we'll talk about SWR start today as well.
Well, it helps to hit against a team that enters the series on a 17-game losing streak and ends it on a 20-game losing streak. So that's a big reason why the bats came alive, and they did a little bit in Wednesday's game out in New York to avoid a sweep by the Mets. But yeah, I mean, this team, we knew something good would happen against the White Sox, and now they have their longest home winning streak against them ever at 12 games. This combines all of Target Field, Metrodome, the old Met Stadium. They've never had a winning streak this good since the team moved to Minnesota in 1961. So should have saved that for the nerdy stat of the day, but we got plenty of others we can get around to.
Yeah, I love it. And you're right. I'm glad you mentioned that game 3 versus the Mets, because now you're right. The Twins have now won 4 in a row. Cleveland has lost 2 in a row. So starting to close that gap just a little bit in the AL Central. Royce Lewis kind of leading the way all weekend. Game 2 was a little slow, but in total, 7 RBIs this weekend. His numbers, and I know you can speak to this a little bit more than I can, but some of his numbers are just absurd, dude. Some OPS and some other stats and facts and things like that, especially playing at home in the backyard at Target Field. The dude's been a machine lately, right?
Absolutely. You know, after Friday night's game, they Major League Baseball did drug test him, and he was late to his post-game interview with the beat reporters. And then he jokingly said to them, the only thing they're going to find in his veins is ice cream. So.
Dude, what's his poison, man? Ben and Jerry's? Somebody's got one of the reporters in the scrum got to find out what's his poison back there, you know, at midnight, midnight in the freezer.
Yeah, absolutely. I can text Hayes and see if we can get him to find the real answer on that. But it'll be his story. But hey, it would just be fun to know what his go-to is.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I will save my tidbit for him on the nerdy side of the day because, again, we have so many. I want to save that one for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he's clicking, he's just on a completely another level, and that has Major League Baseball concerned of is he juicing or not. And I think we're well past the age of, even compared to 10 to 15 years ago when biogenesis was still that big scandal. This time about 11 years ago when it was mainly Ryan Braun, Alex Rodriguez, and a group of other players, including Nelson Cruz, Johnny Peralta, that did end up getting linked to that and having that. I think since then, a lot of younger players have not only learned their lesson, but have just, you know, found better ways. I think, especially in sports medicine, we found so many better ways in the last 10 years, especially to like really take care of your bodies in much better sense. So it's been a lot rarer for that sort of thing. I think, if I don't know if I'll pronounce his first name right. No, Novel Marte with the Cincinnati Reds started this season was like the biggest name in this year to have a PED suspension. So, I mean, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Again, they'll find ice cream. That's it.
Yeah. I think he's a Cherry Garcia guy. We'll find out, though. I mean, time will tell. So I know you want to save your nerdy stat for Royce Lewis here later on in this segment, which is great. But like, okay, if Royce is the atopic number one gun, Carlos Correa is obviously out. Who's the number two guy? Just this past weekend, scoring 29 runs. Who was the second best guy? Buxton?
Buxton, absolutely. Especially with his game-saving catch earlier in today's game, which,
That
he
was
was
great.
slow to get up from. But, I mean, this will sound awkward while I say it, but, like, that was, like, the least painful he's ever looked getting up from a painful catch.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they were going to take him out because of the blowout just to be precautionary, and now that just added that extra layer of, like, okay. And, yeah, post-game he said he was totally fine, so I would expect him, worst-case scenario, DHing in tomorrow night's game in Chicago, which, I mean, you got to be very careful in that outfield because barely any padding unless you're up against the sides,
That's a good point.
Right field. So, I mean, if he does take a night off, that's not the end of the world, especially knowing the friendly confines are not friendly to outfielders. So, all the starters
in the lineup today had at least one hit. Margot and Jeffers did end up pinch hitting. Neither of those guys had a hit, but all the starters had a hit. Willie Castro, 3 hits, 3 for 5. And Miranda as well, 3 for 5, 2 runs, 1 ribby. He's leading the team in average right now, still at 324. So things just seem to be the momentum, right? Things just seem to be picking up. And it's like you always said last time we played the White Sox, got to pump the brakes a little bit because it's the White Sox. They've lost 20 in a row. But still, you're going to take them every time you can get them. All these games count the same either way, right?
They do. And, you got to get the sweeps where they look easy, and the White Sox are that for the entire league right now, and that's exactly what you needed as divisional games are crunching down to it. So I looked at the schedule. I think the White Sox only play the Guardians once more. The Royals and Twins are now officially done with them. Guardians and Twins are also done with Detroit, which just leaves 3 games between the Royals and Tigers in terms of interdivision. So Tigers can't really do much to upset Guardians or Twins or Royals moving forward. It's really just those 3 games against the Royals that will kind of, and I think that's like the mid to late September when that happens. So they can't really do much.
It almost would have been a disappointment if you didn't sweep this team, just because they've been that bad, and like everybody else is beating up on them. You can't waste any opportunity, man.
They will win a game again. It's still like 50 to 60 some games left in the season, so you just don't want to be the team they end the losing streak against. Now that might be the Oakland A's, since they're going out there these next
I could see
series.
That. So let's flip the script from the lineup, I should say, to the pitchers. SWR, solid day today. Bailey Ober, great day yesterday. Joe Ryan in game 1. All of them had good starts, good outings this weekend. Who had the best, if you had to pick one? Who impressed you the most, I guess? Who had the best stuff working out of all 3 starting pitchers? And what kind of stuck out the most from those starting pitchers this weekend?
I would definitely say Bailey Ober last night looked the sharpest of the 3. Simeon Woods Richardson, I think he was still dealing with some of the flukes he had while pitching in New York during his last start. And, you want to take advantage of a start like today where you can do much better than an opposing lineup that is doing so poorly. But, that just wasn't the thing. But fortunately, the Twins lineup was going off on Chris Flexen to start the game, and just every other guy who came out of that Sox bullpen. So it wasn't, catastrophic for Woods Richardson, but there's stuff to be worked on right there, and he might be at that point where he needs alleviation. Unfortunately, with a doubleheader coming up on Friday at home against Cleveland, you might have Louis Varland back up to be that 27th man once more and make a start in his place. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, that's a good breakdown right there. Good tidbits. Just because you brought up Buxton, did we have any update? Did we need any update, or did he walk off on his own? And you mentioned that he should be ready to roll and possibly at worst case DH. You said tomorrow night versus the Cubs and Wrigley.
Yeah, I know you were listening and not watching. So after he made that catch, they had now that we finally have Bally back, if we're a Comcast subscriber like my family is, no, they showed him in the dugout. He looked pretty well just going over it with the trainer, and then he just sat down, no pain, nothing like that. So that's the thing. It was a precautionary thing, and when there's a blowout like this, you're going to be precaution with your more
But everybody holds their breath when it's Buxton and he just gets up gingerly or takes a big hit. Yeah, obviously, that's just muscle memory for all of us, man. That's
and Kepler just extended his hand, pulled him back up, and he walked off no limp or anything. It was just a hard hit. took a breath out of him for like a second or two, and then he was just back up and doing fine. So I think, like I said, worst case scenario, he's not playing tomorrow just to give him an extra day in case there's something he's feeling. But I would assume he's going to be playing again. And
love it. I didn't get to see Friday's game, but I know we got our first taste of Trevor Richards, the flamethrower in the back, right? Game 1 and today as well. So game 1 and game 3. Just thoughts on how he looked, I guess. What was your first impressions? What'd you like? What you didn't, etc.
I mean, he's been pretty good. He's got good splits against left-handed hitters. Sorry. Which has been good. But again, you don't know if you want to have that against a Kyle Schwarber or Bryce Harper type of left-handed hitter. His changeup is really good, but like when it's not good and not hitting in spots, can really go far for home runs. And so far, so good. Again, small sample size, great against the White Sox because it's the White Sox. But, I liken this to many other people I've talked to. This is like 2015 when they were surprisingly contending for a wild card spot, and then they only made one move to get Kevin Jepsen, who was great down the stretch, who they got from Tampa Bay. But then he stayed with the team in 2016, and it was bad. So,
Rocco report time. Game 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to give you all the options on the table. Let's put all the cards on the table. Game 1, 2, or 3 versus the White Sox. The Rocco report, it says what?
Well, honestly, I think he did very well throughout the series. I was maybe a little disappointed seeing, Dobnak not have his, he wasn't dominant returning back to Target Field today, but, maybe left him in there a little too long. I know when one walk, having talked to Dobnak after multiple starts this season, after he gives up one walk, he does kind of get to him a little bit, and that's what we saw today. But, he didn't lose the game on behalf of the Twins, and they still won it and stuff. But I know it's frustrating to get back up to the majors, and then, second time you're back out there out of the bullpen, that's what happens.
Right. Kind of frustrating for sure. Still early, though, on the whole Dobnak experience. Once I should say 2.0, maybe even 3.0 Dobnak experience. But good stuff there. All right. Plenty more deep dive from this one, plus nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. At eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all in, whether you're into speed, power, or style. They got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Can we just talk about the White Sox losing 20 games in a row for like 30 seconds? Okay? Let's obviously spin this towards the Minnesota Twins. What's the worst Minnesota Twins season you remember enduring?
Oh, 2016, easily. That was just brutal.
That was rough, dude.
I mean, again, I'm only 25, so 1999.
Right, I know you got a little smaller sample size.
I really don't. My generation, we were definitely spoiled as kids, not knowing what many other older fans had to endure, whether it was the post-World Series years in the 90s or everything that came before 87 from about 73, 74. So, yeah, we got lucky there. But definitely 2016 is even. And the White Sox are not even going to win 59 games. It's definitely not going to happen.
Dude. In baseball, that's wild.
What's worse with the new draft lottery compared to what it was like for the Twins, who, when they were the worst team in 2016, eventually led to Royce Lewis.
Yeah, you're not even guaranteed the number one pick?
They're not. The lottery system with how things worked out for them this last season, they're not even going to get a top 10 pick.
What?
Yeah,
top 10?
It's
what
so
did
bad.
They do? I'm an NFL
really
draft nerd. I follow the NBA draft, the lottery. Okay, that's a little different.
I'm still getting up to date on that, but like they really screwed themselves up. They're not even getting a top 10.
Dude,
and they're
I would be rioting. Wait, is it? It's not already set in stone, right?
No,
we don't know.
But like there's like some eligibility stuff they've added with the draft lottery and whatnot.
Watch it be a great draft. Like this year's draft class, remember, was kind of hit or miss, not that strong. Last year's draft class, Walker Jenkins, top 6, pretty heavy. Yeah, go ahead.
It's way too early, but I think it's
Okay.
sounding like from all the experts I listen to and talk to, it's going to be a bit stronger. And it sounds like the leading guy, at least on the prep side, is Matt Holliday's second son. Can't
Another
remember
one?
Yeah,
There's
there's another
another
one.
one?
Yeah, and he might be better than Jackson Holiday.
Stop it, dude. We got the
Yeah.
Ball brothers,
Mhm.
LaMelo. We got them all over here. Okay, all right. That's the baseball version. You got a nerdy stat of the day. You mentioned it. You teased it. Royce Lewis. Something about Royce Lewis. Lay it on us tonight. What do you got?
Yeah,
Locked and
so
loaded
he's got
today?
103 games under his belt now. So he's got a total of 30 home runs, 85 RBI, and an OPS just about 948.
Hmm.
So what his 162 average is looking like now, if he were to play a full season of 162 games on just the small sample size, you're looking at a guy who could hit 47 home runs, 132 RBI, and a 950 OPS even.
What? Dude, I mean, can you any comparisons, like player comparisons or anything just off the cuff, knee jerk reaction, top of your head that you can kind of fling out just to give us an idea of like what company he's kind of keeping right now with some of those numbers?
We're looking at Mike Schmidt, one of the greatest ever.
Wow.
At third base, like
dude.
pure. I mean, he's not there defensively like Mike Schmidt was, but I
Sure.
mean, those power numbers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
That speaks
what it
volumes,
equates
man.
to.
That speaks volumes. As always, knock on wood, just got to stay healthy, man. I can't wait to see a
Yeah.
bigger sample size from this guy because when healthy, he's just a freak, man. Absolutely love it. Don't go anywhere. We got to preview game 1 versus the Cubs. David Festa on the mound tomorrow night. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. For me and my money, by far the easiest and most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code, and this is all lowercase, Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, back on the road tomorrow, taking on the other Chicago team, the Cubs. Who are the Cubs this year? For people who don't know, who are the Cubs in the year 2024? What kind of team have they been? Are they coming into this series hot? Are they coming in cold? What's the scouting report for this one?
Well, the fortunate thing is they are on Sunday Night Baseball right now. So if anyone has that, they can watch them playing the Cardinals, that old rivalry. So they are underperforming to their expectations. If you remember, they were in contention last year up until the final couple of weeks of the season, and then they just imploded on themselves. But they've just kind of been treading water and slowly sinking. It's probably going to be them and the Reds fighting for the last place in the NL Central. That's how bad it's been for them. Not like terrible. I think they're only like 6-7 games under 500, but
but
it's
not what everybody thought they would be. I got you.
Yeah. So fortunately, the Twins, night number 1, they get to face Kyle Hendricks, and Kyle Hendricks is not the man he was during the Cubs World Series run in 2016 or the years after. It's kind of just old man still hanging for dear life. He's still better than Matt Schumacher, if we remember how he was with the Twins in 2021. But
what a name drop, man! I love your name drops. Just every 4th episode, I just get a phenomenal name drop that just brings me way back and unlocks so many different memories. Who's their stud? Who's their Royce Lewis, so to speak, or Carlos Correa? Who's their top 2 guys?
I would say right now, Shota Imanawa, the rookie starting pitcher they brought over from Japan. I mean, I know he's like 30, but he's been phenomenal for them all season.
Okay.
Will
we see him in these next 3 games?
I do not know off the top of my head. I'm going to look at the schedule right now. So
got it. Speaking of another rookie, though, David Festa on the mound for game 1 should be just, I don't know, another great opportunity for him to get some more reps under his belt. What are you hoping to see from him? Or what's a storyline or 2 we should kind of keep in the back of our minds when we're watching Festa take the mound tomorrow?
Yeah, no, he's just got to build off his last starts and then, have really good command of the strike zone like he did against the Mets last I think that was Tuesday night. And again, he did as well as he could against the Mets that night, but the offense was just completely missing. So I think that's what we got to look for with the Twins offense now, feeling hot after these last 4 games.
Yeah.
See how they're rolling against a veteran pitcher who's not doing as well. And Shota Imanawa is actually going to be the starter for Tuesday night up against Pablo Lopez. So that's going to be more of I think that might put a little more pressure on win game 1 if you can.
Yeah.
Because game 2 and game 3 will be much harder with the opposing starting pitchers.
And like you said, we'll see if Buxton plays tomorrow or just gets that day off, maybe a little bit more pressure to play tomorrow and try to get that game 1. Like you're saying, who knows? Who knows? That'll be in the
It's a lefty on Tuesday, I would say. So, I mean, if he doesn't play tomorrow, I would not panic about his injury status because it's going to be a day-to-day thing. And then, like, he'll definitely be back in the lineup Tuesday night against the left-handed pitcher. There's no doubting that.
Right. Last one here. Just looking at the schedule, I just got it pulled up again. 3 with the Cubs. Then it's the big showdown, right? They got 8 games left with Cleveland. Like you said, 4 of them take place after this Cubs series. So 8 games left with Cleveland. You're 4.5 back at this very moment. When you look at the rest of the schedule, how soft or how tough is it compared to like league ranks and averages and things like that? And is everything ultimately just going to come down to those 8 games with Cleveland?
I know they do have an easier remaining schedule than Cleveland.
Okay, maybe in the top half somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, and you also got to remember the Twins still got 6 games against the Royals. That will also be very determined in the how this division plays out. So the remaining portion that's probably going to be the hardest is from August 19th to 28th when you got 3 National League opponents in a row. You're in San Diego, then you're home against the Braves and Cardinals. That's where I think it'll be toughest because Cardinals are still contending for a wild card spot. Braves are as well, and Padres are as well. So they might be fluctuating. Who knows? It's August now, and we know it doesn't feel like it, but
it's August. Doesn't feel like it. We're creeping up to crunch time. We're not in crunch time yet, but we're creeping up to baseball crunch time, man. And this is when it gets fun.
Yeah, that is the stretch. I would say that's going to be the hardest outside of these divisional matchups that are still left, but also they end the season at home against Baltimore. So that's another story, but let's not worry about that until
we'll cross that bridge when we get.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Love talking Twins with you, man. Glad we got to catch up. Twin sweep Chicago, 4.5 back from Cleveland, as mentioned. First pitch versus the Cubs tomorrow, 7:05 p.m. David Festa again. He's on the mound for game 1. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we're going to be back each and every game right here to break it all down. Quick reminder, too, got to go check out all of Theo's work on X at Theodore Tollefson, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Go like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. But that'll do it for us. Theo Tollefson. Again, check him out over at Zone Coverage MN. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.